was my best rendition of the Monday Night Football theme song. I'm sorry, but welcome into the show. My name is Mark Farzetta. This right here is the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. It's wonderful to have you along for the ride, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. We got a Monday Night Football preview of the Philadelphia Eagles looking to improve to 2-0 on the season as they take on the Atlanta Falcons and a hobbled Kirk Cousins. That's what we're going to be looking at tonight. Interesting things. First off, let's start off just real quick on the negative. A.J. Brown ain't playing. Ankle hurts. That's not good. That's not good. Don't like that. That's not a good trend going into the game. Talk about how much that matters. I'll give you my 5 big things going into this game against the Atlanta Falcons. And spoiler, why I think the Eagles are going to win this game. We'll talk about why yesterday was such a fantastic day. It was such a wonderful day. You got the Phillies. They win. They beat the Mets. They take 2 or 3 from the Mets, which they needed to do for our own sanity. They did it in dramatic fashion. I like Scott Fransky's term, dueling shutouts, going into the 8th inning until Tyrone Taylor hit that home run off Christopher Sanchez. Phillies come back. JT Realmuto walks it off. Bang, bang, boom. Good times. The Cowboys get spanked at home against the Saints. They get blown out. Panic in Jerry world, so we get to bask in the greatness of that. The Commanders and the Giants play, and they play a game of like who doesn't want to win more, like who least wants to win a game. That was fun. We'll get into that conversation. The 49ers lost yesterday. It was great. It was a wonderful Sunday sports day for all people in the Philadelphia area and members of the Philadelphia fan base. It was glorious. We'll cover all that, of course. And we got some fun times to get into when it comes to what could be happening next for the Phillies, where they're headed next and where the Mets are headed next. Phillies and Mets have 2 totally different series after this series against each other before facing each other again for a 4-game series in Flushing starting up 3 days from now. So let's get into the whole kit and caboodle. I got to get into this first and foremost because I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but Jason Kelce sat down with Jalen Hurts. And there was really nothing that came out of the interview that I went, okay, wow. Except one thing. Actually, 2 things. Because before the interview even started, and you see the 2 of them sit down for ESPN, my first thought before a word was even exchanged was, oh my goodness! I thought these 2 now hate each other because all the media that we're talking about and drumming up a story about how Jalen Hurts was taking a shot at Jason Kelce 2 weeks ago with, Jason handled the protections, and I just kind of, had my progression halted at the time as a player. Oh, he's taking a shot at Jason Kelce, I thought. Yeah, no. Not the way it went at all. As I took it, it was a shot at the coaching staff, which it was. It was not a shot at Jason Kelce. Oh, but for the people that want to drum up that drama for no good reason, he's taking a shot at an Eagles legend that's not here anymore. The 2 just sat across from each other for an interview at the NovaCare Complex, and it was a very nice interview. It was a great interview, as a matter of fact. Jason Kelce, fine job as a broadcaster working that interview. Now, the thing that actually came out of the interview, they talked about last year's demise, and I love Jalen Hurts' line. He says to Jason Kelce, he goes, Jason Kelce asked the question, so last year, what happened? Kind of thing. And Jalen Hurts goes, I could ask you the same question. I thought that was perfect. And they start laughing. It was wonderful. It was lighthearted. It was great. But the answer that came out of it was when you go through something like that, you learn to just dedicate yourself to the cause further, basically, and just keep on working. You will get through it. You will find a way through it. And unfortunately, they couldn't find a way out of it last year. But his solution, if anything like that is ever to creep up again in his career, is just keep on working, keep on showing up, keep on doing your thing. He did say in a very lighthearted manner that he missed Jason Kelce, but did talk about how great a job Cam Jurgens is doing. And then the real news that came out of it, as far as I'm concerned, was when Jason Kelce asked him about protections. Now, I still expected the center to make the majority of the calls, with every once in a while Jalen Hurts going, no, let's do this, and changing it up. But according to Jason Kelce, the way the exchange went was, Jalen, you're handling protections, quote, pretty much fully now, end quote. Hurts' response, yes. That, look, I know he's got more to do with it than he ever has, and rightfully so. He's now a veteran quarterback that is now calling protections for a rookie center, essentially, a rookie at the center position in the NFL. Cam Jurgens, third year in the league. I get it. But you're following this along, and you're thinking, okay, hold on. It makes sense that the center would have more calls, but Hurts would be more involved. But what I didn't expect to hear was that Hurts is pretty much fully handling those protections. Okay. Week one, while scrambling around, week one, there was some pressure. It says, goes without saying, we watched the game. There was some pressure. Jalen Hurts moved off his spot more than a handful of times. Still a great offensive line. I'm not saying it's not and all that stuff. But as far as the protections goes, we were worried about him against the blitz. Best quarterback against the blitz last week against the Packers in week one. If he's handling protections fully now, maybe that's the way it has to be. Because if he's able to perform so well against the blitz, and that's something he did not do well against at all, really, throughout his career, especially last year, especially in the last 6 games of the season, maybe it's something that Jalen Hurts has to have more control over. So that's something that he pays a little extra attention to. It doesn't just say, I don't need to understand it. All I need to know is what we're doing. I don't need to understand why. I need to understand that we're doing it. That's it. I don't need to know the why. I just need to know the what. So if Jalen Hurts is now looking at the defense and understanding what they're doing, maybe that's helping him out in every other aspect. Maybe him being a hell of a lot more hands-on. Maybe him being, quote, pretty much fully in charge of protections and shifting protections, changing protections, is helping him just be a better overall quarterback, not just in the avenue of protection. Maybe that's helping him understand, as it looked at least in week one, to understand everything that's going on in front of him. Of the things that came out of the about 10-minute interview that they have on ESPN, of the 10 minutes, that was the most crucial thing. He did talk about being on the same page as Kellen Moore and growing in that offense. He shouted out Nick Sirianni unprompted when asked about Kellen Moore. He talked about Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni and what he wants to see from this offense. It was very interesting. I thought it really gave you some good insight, and maybe with Jason Kelce, as this tends to happen when the interview subject is close with the person doing the interview, and maybe a little bit more forthcoming with the information. And it seemed like Jalen Hurts certainly was. They talked about the tush push. Jalen Hurts says the only thing he doesn't like about it is the name, because that's not what they call it, but everybody else does, or the brotherly shove, as it became known in parts of last year. So I thought it was a really interesting interview, very telling in that regard, and it's one of the things that I'm going to be looking out for a little bit more as the season goes on, now knowing that he's pretty much fully in control of the protections. News to me. A little bit different than the news that we learned 2 weeks ago. What we learned 2 weeks ago was that Jalen Hurts was a guy that was going out there with the offensive line and Jason Kelce and trusting him to make those changes. Now it seems to be all on Jalen Hurts' plate and not Cam Jurgens. As far as this game goes, with Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Atlanta Falcons, there is something with Kirk Cousins that I looked at in week one. The Achilles injury, the offseason surgery, are definitely noticeable leading into this season. Week one, everything was out of the shotgun. Kirk Cousins did not take a single snap under center last week against the Steelers. Injury or not, I know you got TJ Watt coming off the edge there. You're always concerned about where he's going to be. But that's a sign of a quarterback that's not really going to be moving much and needs to process what's in front of him from the shotgun. I know under center is a thing mostly of the past, but when every single snap is from shotgun, that's a little concerning when it comes to a quarterback that has zero mobility. I know people are expecting to tee off on him, and quite frankly, I'm hoping that's exactly what happens. But when you see the fact that a guy like TJ Watt had 1 sack last week, the Steelers had 2 sacks in total against Kirk Cousins. I would love to say that this Eagles defensive line is going to go out there and eat, and guys like Bryce Huff are going to prove their worth and get an increased snap count and go after a quarterback that can't move. I'd love to say that, but when a defensive player of the year, a 6-time Pro Bowler, and TJ Watt only gets to him once, it kind of puts things in perspective. I would hope that the Eagles can go out there and tee off on him, and if they could do that, then this is going to be a very easy Eagles victory. But if he is not even somewhat mobile, but just able to get rid of the football quickly and can read the defense quick, get rid of the ball quick, hit targets like Drake London, obviously, Kyle Pitts, continue to do that, then he's going to be able to evade any pressure that Vic Fangio might be throwing in his face. But the number one thing I'm looking at is get that pressure on him. Test him early because he really can't move. Through two interceptions, took the 2 sacks last week. He does not look like he is ready to move off his spot in the least bit. And Bijan Robinson has to be standing at the ready to get that football from him, whether it's a check down, whether it's a handoff, whatever the case might be. Kirk Cousins is not looking all like the guy that came into here, week 2 last year and lit up the Eagles secondary in a loss, but still put up some huge yards and 4 touchdown passes last year. Does not look like that same guy at all. If he is that same guy from week 1 to week 2, the Eagles are going to have an easy time for Kirk Cousins. And also, you're going to be looking at guys like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and maybe Reed Blankenship coming up with another interception. And Quentin Mitchell going out there looking to build off a phenomenal debut. This will be a huge opportunity for him as well. Quentin Mitchell, 2 guys I'm going to be looking at that. One is a guy that I just look to keep it going in the Eagles secondary. The other is a guy that I would like to break out on the Eagles defensive line. Regardless of what you think about Bryce Huff, and for me, the big test was whether or not he was going to be ready for that promotion. This is a game. If you're a speed guy, if you're all about speed, on a much lesser degree, Nolan Smith is another one of these guys, all speed, but Bryce Huff is a guy that's certainly done it already. If you're going to be a speed guy, this is the game to show off in. I don't have huge expectations. I'm only highlighting the fact that this is an opportunity for Bryce Huff. And in the offseason, the thing I kept on referencing with him is he ready for the promotion? Is he ready for the pros? Is he ready for a 40% snap going from 40% of the snaps? Is he ready for an increase to 70? Not quite. He was at 45. So 5%. Can we get 50%? Can we earn 50% of the snaps? Can we get to 55% of the snaps in this particular game? You want to be based on speed? You got a quarterback that can't move. Ring the dinner bell, Bryce Huff. Come get it. Kirk Cousins is waiting for you. That's one of the things I've been looking at. And then Quentin Mitchell building off what he did last week. Now, speaking of building off things from last week, Zach Bond, do it again. Go ahead and get me around 15 tackles again. In this game, it could happen. I think he's 16 tackles away. Total tackles, not individual, not solo, excuse me. 16 tackles, I think it was 15, 16 tackles away from passing his total tackles in all of last year. That's where he's at. That's incredible. Let's see it. Go ahead and do it. Why not? Build off what you did last week. Keep that going. Keep that same intensity going. Be around the ball as often as you were last week. Have that same type of stat line. Let me just see that again from Zach Bond. If he does that, again, the Eagles are going to be in good shape. For his other linebacker, for the guy playing next to him, Nakobe Dean, build off what you saw. Nakobe Dean, by no means, had a phenomenal game. That title, that description certainly goes to Zach Bond in week 1. Nakobe Dean had something you could build off of. That's why last week I looked at it and I said, you know what? I feel great about where the Eagles linebacking core is right now between Zach Bond, between Nakobe Dean having some really great plays to build off of. Knowing you have a guy like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. as a rookie that certainly looks like throughout the preseason and everything you've heard throughout camp, he has the instincts that you would expect a guy that's the son of a great player. He would have those same instincts. That's what Jeremiah Trotter Jr. certainly seems to have. And then whatever you could get from Devin White is going to be Great. Whatever you get from him, whether it's just pass rushing downs, whether it's him blitzing, obviously, up the middle, wherever it might be. If he's healthy and he's out there and he's able to get you some downs, he's able to get you some snaps, I think that could be gravy compared to what you could see from Nakobe Dean growing as a player and what you could get again from Zach Bond coming up in week 2 here. So that's what I look at when it comes to the linebacking core. When it comes to the defensive line, I think of all the things that you looked at from last week, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, of all the things, the defensive line, especially the interior defensive linemen, and I hate to use the tired term thrown under the bus, and that's probably even too dramatic for this, but Vic Fangio kind of focused on his D-line even when he was asked about missed tackles in the secondary. When he was asked about guys coming up and missing tackles, whether it was Avonte Maddox, guys coming up missing tackles, whether it was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, whoever it might have been, he constantly talked about the defensive line. And if the defensive line doesn't allow a guy like Josh Jacobs, or in this case, Bijan Robinson, to burst through the line of scrimmage, then you're not worried about missed tackles in the secondary because the tackles are being made at the line of scrimmage. Whether that's a linebacker coming up and plugging the gap, or that's a defensive lineman, especially an interior defensive lineman, winning their one-on-one battles, or maybe even their one-on-two battles if they're double-teamed, and they're plugging the hole and stopping the run right there at the line of scrimmage or a yard after it. That's what you want to see. Or breaking through for a TFL. Make that happen in this game. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. Have this game at the Link, the home opener, be the breakout game for the season that we all go, okay, we're fine. We're good. First game, it is what it is. No one's coming to save them. Now they really realize that because no one came to save them in week 1. Now they realize that they are the guys that are here. That no one comes to save them. They're the guys that are going to make the play. So whether that's Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, let's see it. Let's see what all the hype was about. Jordan Davis, your ability to move mountains. Jalen Carter, your ability to break through the line of scrimmage and get to the quarterback or get into the backfield. Let's see that in this game. Let's take away those opportunities for those missed tackles in the secondary and see them plugged right there. Because week 1, if you're talking about disappointing performances, that's the one that certainly left the most to be desired, how your interior defensive lineman did. And like I said, when Vic Fangio was talking about missed tackles, he said, yeah, well, you could take the better angle. You can take the better angle as a cornerback, as a safety, whatever it might be. But if your defensive line isn't allowing those guys through, you don't have to worry about it. Vic Fangio thinking along the lines that the Eagles always think, which is the game's all about the trenches. I really can't wait. Here's the thing. There's 2 ways to look at last week's game for the Falcons against the Steelers. One would be 133 yards on the ground. Okay. The other would be 3.3 yards per carry. Saquon Barkley, in no means do I want to have 26 touches in a game again. The only way I want that to happen is if it's a fourth quarter situation and he's closing it out for you and you got to handle it. Don't get me wrong. I love that the Eagles went there, but I'd also like Saquon Barkley. I mean, bottom line, do whatever it takes to win. But in a perfect world, you can have him at about 15 touches going into the fourth quarter, and then he closes the game out for you. And the next thing you know, he's got like 21, 22, whatever the case might be. He's obviously a huge factor in this offense. He is not just the running back. He is the weapon that Howie Roseman talked about. But without A.J. Brown in this game, you're probably going to have more focus on Saquon Barkley, obviously. So when you look at him as that offensive weapon, put it fully on display again in this game. Get that comfortable lead. Dominate this game. Offensively and defensively, you have an opportunity to dominate this game. Go out there and do it. You have a good pass rush with guys like Matthew Judon, obviously. You have a hell of a secondary. We're going to get to that in a second when it comes to what Jalen Hurts can be doing against these guys. But when it comes to Saquon Barkley, have him set the tone. And as much as I love it to be Devontae Smith and all that, I look at a guy like Saquon Barkley as the tone setter. He can be both the opener and the closer for you in a game like this. He starts out strong. He breaks through the line of scrimmage. He comes out with a big run. You control the clock. Those are things that I think the Eagles can do phenomenally well with Saquon in this particular game. You look at the 3.3 yards per carry that were allowed by this Falcons defense last week, and you might just focus on the fact that they were able to accumulate so many yards against them, but really the 3.3 yards per carry is something that I see Saquon building on. Another 4 yards per carry type of performance should be an easy thing for Saquon Barkley in this game. The next thing I look at when it comes to this team is, or really this game, it's all about 100% turnovers. Talking to some people about this game yesterday, the thing that I look at is this should be an easy Eagles win. The only thing in the back of my mind that haunts me, and I know this is for a lot of people, it's turnovers. And I know the Eagles were the only team in the NFL last week, or week 1, that lost the turnover battle but won the game. You have guys like Bates in the secondary, Justin Simmons in the secondary, Matthew Judon again, breathing down your neck. With Bates and Simmons lurking, this for me is a huge game for Jalen Hurts to not make bad decisions. As I said on Friday's show, there are plenty of opportunities here, or plenty of instances where you look at quarterbacks and you go, oh, that throw sailed on him, or he worm burned that one, whatever the case might be, underthrew that one drastically. There are examples of that where you just go, okay, bad throw. I can stomach the bad throw a hell of a lot easier than I could stomach the horrible decision. And Jalen Hurts, Kellen Moore last week called them outliers. They're not outliers when they had 15 of them last year. Jalen Hurts called them, misguided calls. What did he call them last week? Bad decisions, basically. Whatever they were huge mistakes. And that is a terrible thing to see in week 1, when one of the things I wanted to see in the first game of the season was the bad decisions, the turnovers in general were a thing of the past. And they weren't going to happen this year nearly at the same rate that they happened last year. So seeing him go out there and make 3 horrible decisions, get charged for 2 of them, because we can always go back to the dropped interception by Nixon. And if he intercepts that one, then you don't have Jair Alexander intercepting the one in the end zone that was intended for A.J. Brown. 3 bad decisions, paid big time for 2 of them. If we can get through that part of it, if that was okay, it's out of your system now, right, Jalen? Those horrible decisions. The first interception, people talk about how we threw the ball late. There was no time for him to throw it. Unless it was going to be right off the line of scrimmage, or right off the snap. There was no other time to throw that football. So it was just a bad decision. That, for me, going into this game is something I'm going to be looking at because that's the only way I see the Falcons winning this game, is if he just turns the ball over and makes terrible decisions. It's the only way. Something that might lead into that is that now Jahan Dotson has gone to the number 2 receiver spot without A.J. Brown playing in this game. Devontae Smith, of course, takes over the number 1 wide receiver spot. I know Devontae Smith's going to go out there and he's going to ball out tonight, and they're going to do everything they can to try to take him away. But Devontae Smith's good enough, quick enough, fast enough to go out there and make sure he can get open. The other thing you're going to be looking at in this game is whether or not you can have a tight end like Dallas Goedert step up. Minimal role in week 1. He's going to have to step up. Whenever you have a guy that just had 119 yards for you in a game and a touchdown and has been the most consistent target for Jalen Hurts, everyone else has to step up once that guy goes down. The next man up mentality has to be part of the game plan tonight. And who better to have in the building for next man up than the guy that was the next man up the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl than Nick Foles. Talked last week, speculated, possibly a little Philly in tonight's game, maybe even another Philly special. I don't know. Last time the Eagles ran that play, the Philly actually, was against the Falcons in a primetime game when the Eagles opened up the season the year following their Super Bowl, and you saw Philly get run. Jalen Hurts was asked about it earlier in the week, or at the end of last week, rather. He talked about it. You guys hinting at something? You want to see something in this game? Maybe you'll see it in this one. I look forward to maybe seeing them break that one out. So that's what I look at more often, or more than anything in tonight's game. I look at Bond doing it again. I look at Dean continuing to grow. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter versus Bijan Robinson and making sure they contain him. Also breaking through, maybe racking up some sacks, get some sexy numbers going for themselves. I also look at Kirk Cousins versus Eagles secondary and the Eagles defensive line. I would love, how great would it be to be able to compare a defense that just went against, or an offense that just went against TJ Watt, and they only came away with 2 sacks. How great would it be to look at this game tonight and see 4 or 5 sacks? That'd be pretty fantastic. And the win, of course. Saquon against the run defense there, the Falcons, and then Hurts versus Bates and Simmons. That's what I look at going into tonight's game. So I look forward to seeing all that come together tonight. All in all, Eagles have a tremendous opportunity. With the Cowboys getting blown out at home, the 49ers now have, not celebrating the injury, but highlighting the fact that the best running back in football in Christian McCaffrey is now on IR. They lose to the Minnesota Vikings. And I don't see the Vikings having sustained success. So it's nice that they have this nice start. It seems to help out the Eagles, certainly. And then obviously you look at 2 teams in the Giants and the Commanders that just neither one of them win that game yesterday. The Eagles have a right there. They should very well take this game. They should win this game handily. They are a much better team than the Atlanta Falcons. They are at home. They're back from Brazil. They get a real home game to open up the season. You are honoring the legend himself, Nick Foles, in this game. Give him a good show. I love the fact, and I highlighted this last week, but Jalen Hurts said he never met Nick Foles before. Those 2 met. Picture was out there on social media. Beautiful. Love to see it. But Eagles should win this game handily. I don't think, unfortunately, that it's going to be a clean game for Jalen Hurts. I think he plays well. I think Eagles win the game. I certainly don't think he's a detriment. But knowing that the turnover battles seem like they're carried over from last year, what I look at from this Eagles game into tonight is I see 1 pick for Jalen Hurts. I think it's on a deep ball. I don't think it's going to be a bad decision. I think it's going to be a bad throw. I don't see him getting out of this game unscathed in the interception department when you're facing 2 lurking safeties like that. So that's what I'm looking at. But bottom line, tell you my prediction, Philadelphia Eagles win this game. They improved to 2-0 with a 27-17 victory over the Atlanta Falcons. Keep on rolling. The one guy that I do look at on this team, other than Bryce Huff, is Zach Bond. To expand upon him a little bit more. One of the things that I absolutely love, the general way to say this is that he was always around the football, certainly. But there were plays that you saw him, and this is where Nakobe Dean still very much struggles. The ability to fight through blocks. The ability to keep on fighting once you've been hit is something that Zach Bond really surprised me. Now, that might be his special teams background in the old days of the kickoff, being able to go out there and, despite contact, find your way to the ball carrier. But what I was really impressed with was not only was he right around the ball every single time, but he was also fighting through blocks in route to getting to the football. I didn't expect to see that. I mean, talk about, the stats are great. They're sexy. Great. Looks great on the box score and that whole thing. But when you actually watch the game, go back and watch the all-22, you go back and you watch the extended highlights, whatever it might be, you see him fighting through blocks constantly, making good reads as well, being smart. That's how he is getting around the ball. Those are things that you want to see the other line, but you want to see a guy like Nakobe Dean improve upon, taking the right angles, fighting his way through, being smart, using his instincts and all that, getting the step on a would-be blocker to be able to get around him and get to the ball carrier. Those are all things that I want to see Nakobe Dean grow into and get better at. But right out of the gate, to see Zach Bond come out here, a guy with limited experience as a starting linebacker in the NFL, as a starting linebacker in the NFL at all, going out there and doing that in his first game of getting that opportunity, don't make it the flash in the pan, make it the norm. A lot of times, hey, look, we've watched this Philadelphia Eagles defense in recent years with a guy like Alex Singleton, who's been on the show a couple times. He was, top 5 in the NFL in tackles? Led the team in tackles, certainly. Wasn't a great defense, So when I look at total tackles, I sometimes think, do I want the linebacker making those tackles, or I want them stopped at the line of scrimmage? If the linebacker stepping up and making those plays, then great. But if he's got to go back, if he's got to make them in coverage, whatever the case might be, that ain't as great. He was making them all over the field. And what was great to me was that he looked like that's what he's been doing for the last 5-6 years, when it's not at all. It has been a special teamer. And to see him go out there in week 1 and have that kind of performance, if that's something to build on, oh, man, please tell me the best is still yet to come for Zach Bond at the linebacker position for the Eagles. And then at the same time, Nakobe Dean just continued to grow, as I mentioned earlier. So that's what I'm going to be looking at tonight. Also, the impact when it comes to A.J. Brown not being out there for the team. Again, the next man up mentality. Look forward to seeing that for the Eagles. Let me know your predictions for the Eagles in the chat. I'm at 27-17. Eagles win this game. As I mentioned, it was a phenomenal weekend. Absolutely incredible weekend for Philadelphia sports, both in Philly and outside of Philly. The Braves handling their business against the LA Dodgers. Unfortunately, last night was not the example, but overall, this is where the Phillies sit in Major League Baseball. 2 games better than the Dodgers in the National League. 3.5 games better than the New York Yankees overall in Major League Baseball. The Brewers, 86 and 63 on the season. They are right now 4 games behind the Phillies. And wouldn't you know it, the Milwaukee Brewers are 4 games ahead of the Phillies, and the Brewers behind the Phillies, and the Brewers host the Phillies for the next 3 games beginning in Milwaukee tonight. You see all the way down there at the bottom, the Mets and the Braves, both 9 games behind the Phillies in the division, with both teams also occupying the 3rd and final wild card spot right now in Major League Baseball. In the National League. This is fun. We're having a good time. How did we get here? Well, yesterday, Christopher Sanchez pitched an absolute gem. And I really enjoyed the Peterson lefty-lefty matchup yesterday of Peterson versus Sanchez, and those two battling it out the way they did yesterday. The dueling shutouts in the 8th inning were pretty spectacular. Now, unfortunately, Christopher Sanchez was the first to crack. And I've had a good feeling about this series despite struggles for the Phils. And yesterday was another example of this. When Taylor hit the solo home run off Christopher Sanchez in the 8th inning and made it a 1-0 game, my first thought was, let the games begin. Now the offense is going to start for the Phils too. You could call that blind optimism. You could call it whatever. I just had a gut feeling. And to see Weston Wilson followed by Buddy Kennedy on back-to-back doubles after you have Cal Stevenson step up for you on Saturday to win you a game and also rob a home run. Cal Stevenson, Weston Wilson, Buddy Kennedy, Cody Clemens helping you out. Like, these aren't supposed to be the guys that you're looking at going, wow, this clutch performance is to help carry this team, you know? That's not supposed to happen. It's supposed to be all about Bryce Harper, and Bryce Harper had his 2 home runs on Saturday. That was great. Kyle Schwarber has obviously, up until recently, had a phenomenal September. This isn't the way it's supposed to go. The huge name guys are supposed to get it done for you. But the guys that set the table on the call to comeback, it was 1 run, Weston Wilson, Buddy Kennedy. Then in the 9th inning, they're facing Edwin Diaz. How amazing is this? Facing Edwin Diaz, Nick Castellanos goes up there. He gets the single. He gets the single. Then, as Alec Boehm is striking out for the second out of the inning, Nick, not at all fleet of foot Castellanos, steals second base. He puts himself in scoring position with JT Realmuto stepping up to the plate with 2 outs. JT Realmuto is hitting .385 against Edwin Diaz in his career. For some dumbass reason, some unknown reason, other than the Mets are going to Met, the Mets decide to have Edwin Diaz throw to JT Realmuto as opposed to just intentional walk. and have him take first base. First base is open. You got 2 outs. Why are you going to face him? Oh, okay, fine. You face him. JT Realmuto goes down in the count 0-2. He sees 3 straight fastballs. Edwin Diaz goes right after him. 2 fastballs, down in the count 0-2, gets a third fastball, pops it out there to right field. I should say delivers it, serves it out to right field for what most likely would have been a double, but credited as a game-winning RBI walk-off single, courtesy of JT Realmuto. It was a magical weekend. No question about it. A magical weekend for your Philadelphia Phillies. And Mets fans are just left thinking, ugh. That's a shame. I loved what I saw in this weekend. And I also loved what I saw from Christopher Sanchez in particular, because that man was on point from the first inning on. Gave up the leadoff single to Francisco Lindor off the mid of Rojas in center field. Then he strikes out Vientos on a high fastball, Alonso looking at a slider, a high slider, and then Brandon Nimmo strikes out on a slider. Strikes out the side after the leadoff single. After that, he was on cruise control. 8 pitches in the second inning, 10 pitches in the third inning, 13 in the fourth, 13 in the fifth, 10 in the sixth, 8 pitches in the seventh. He started the 8th inning at 77 pitches. I'm like, this guy's got the complete game right here. A little bit of offense, baby. A little bit of offense. And then, unfortunately, Taylor hit the home run on a 2-2 slider that was up in the zone. He was actually down in that count, 2-0. He had 11 counts. Christopher Sanchez yesterday had 11 counts. 11! Where he was up 0-2. Started out 2-0 against Taylor, worked the 2-2 count, gave up the slider out over the middle of the plate, a little above the knees. Taylor went down and got it, 1-0 lead. Bang, bang, boom. Bader goes up there. He gets a single to right field. It takes Sanchez out. Kirkering comes in, and Kirkering slams the door. Infield single by Pete Alonso. That was about it. That put first and third with 2 outs. And then he got Brandon Nimmo to ground out to third. That was a great play, actually, by Bryce Harper. Smothered that ball at first base. Phillies got Alec Boehm back. Alec Boehm had a ground ball with eyes single up the middle, getting him back in the lineup. I continue, and it's funny to say this. I know he was 0 for 3 yesterday, so maybe this isn't the time to bang the drum for Bryce Harper, but he's been great. He had the 2-homer game. Wonderful. After not hitting a home run for 30 games, he came out and hit 2 home runs in 1 game. All right. Let's turn the page. Let's get that power back. But if he's going to continue to hit doubles, get on base at a plus 400 rate, then by all means, you stay in that lineup. I can't help but continue to be concerned about the idea that this elbow, the elbow can't get any worse. Okay. It's when I see Bryce Harper swing at a pitch low and away, and then he tries working out the pain or whatever, the discomfort. I just want him healthy for October. If now's the time to rest, please. That's why I look at this series here against the Brewers as such a key series, because not only is this huge, where you could put more distance between you and the Brewers, similar to the way you just put more distance between you and the Mets, then you take that same opportunity that you have, or that you just had, and you go out there against the Brewers and you win this series. That way, when you walk away from Milwaukee, you're 6 games up on the Brewers, at least. That's what I'm going to be looking at, because 4 games back of you right now are the Brewers. The opportunity to put that to 6 or 7. All right. Then you go into New York. You face the Mets for 4. Then the last 6 games of the season, you got 3 at CBP against the Cubs, and then you got 3 in Washington against the Nationals. Nothing would please me more than the Phillies being able to have an opportunity there to rest their starters for 3 games against the Nationals. Bryce Harper's out of the lineup. Cal Stevenson's in there. Cody Clemens is in there. Alec Boehm can take some time off. JT Realmuto doesn't have to play. That, for me, would be the absolute best, and I know I'm not alone in that line of thinking. Let's get to that point, and we can have ourselves some good times. Also, the Dodgers ain't getting any better. I know they whooped up on the Braves last night, but holy Stromboli. a lot of teams have them as or a lot of outlets have them as the betting favorite to win the World Series. They got to get through the Phils, and the Dodgers are not a team that is ever improving, unfortunately, especially in the pitching department. Hey, let me tell you about the Game Time app. You want to go to the game? You want to go to the concert? You want to go to the comedy show? Maybe you want to go to the game tonight at the link. Game Time app has you covered. Check out the Game Time app and use promo code Farzy for $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app to your phone, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get those $20 off your first purchase. Don't forget about Game Time Picks. Game Time Picks is fantastic. It filters out the fluff so you know exactly what you're buying at the best price. That's what Game Time Picks does for you. It filters out the fluff. It cuts right to the chase so you see the best tickets for the best price. Best seat in the house at the best price. Courtesy of the Game Time app and Game Time Picks. Also, don't forget to toggle the all-in pricing feature so you know exactly what you're paying before you go to checkout. Then you can also take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Game Time app, as you could view the seat before you buy it. That's what the Game Time app does. And how about the Game Time guarantee? If you find tickets in the same section and same row for less money elsewhere, the Game Time app will refund your account 110% of the difference. They got last-minute ticket deals. They got flash ticket deals. They even have ticket deals for an hour after the event starts. So let's say you're going to a concert or a comedy show. You don't care about seeing the opening act. You don't care about seeing the middle. You can still see that headliner that you so desperately wanted to see for so long at a great discounted price. All on the Game Time app. So once again, download the Game Time app to your phone, create an account, use promo code Farzy, take advantage of all they have to offer, and get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Oh, what time is it? Game time. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs? That's PHLSportsNation.com. How about MyBookie? MyBookie.ag. Want to bet on the world of sports? MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. You can bet on the world of sports. You can bet on the world of politics. You can bet on the world of television. All at MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. Download the MyBookie app to your phone. Create an account. Use promo code Farzy. Get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. Before I go to the comments, unwise decisions, I think was the quote from Jalen Hurts last week. Before I go any further, let's hear that one more time. Jalen Hurts on his interceptions, how they were unwise decisions.
Interceptions moving forward.
I think I made two unwise decisions. Those are all things that I own. So those are things that I got to be better with, truly managing those situations and just taking what they give me.
In those moments, it's obviously like a split second.
That's what he's got to do. Real quick, I told you guys that my wife loves cats a long time ago. I don't have any cats, but my wife does. There's been a guest in the studio pretty much the whole show. If I have seemed distracted at times, this is Rory. She's a tortoiseshell cat that my wife is fostering, failed foster immediately, from Paws in South Philly. Hi, sweetie. This has been our guest pretty much in studio the entire time. Roars, can you say hi? Okay. All right, go chase things. Bye. I'm better with kittens because supposedly you're not allergic to kittens. You're only allergic to cats. So she's been our featured guest, nipping at my feet for pretty much the entire program. Hopefully I've stayed laser focused throughout. Either way, Jalen Hurts, unwise decisions. Limit the unwise decisions. No doubt in my mind the Eagles run away with this one tonight. But I don't think he's, limiting maybe one. All right, so that's down from 2. Give the Eagles a 10-point victory. Let's get into the chat check and see how you guys are doing on this wonderful Monday morning. Oh, my goodness gracious. IBH, hello. Daniel, you, Eagles fan. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Eagles fans. April. Hello, April. Love seeing the Cowboys and Red Cowboys lose yesterday. For those that don't understand, I'll translate. The Red Cowboys, of course, are the San Francisco 49ers. Sean Gillespie, hello. Mike Fuji, Eagles. Game day, EAGLES, Eagles. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, folks. Saints look good. They did look good. Alvin Kamara looked good. Alvin Kamara looked great. Holy Stromboli. Sean Gillespie, these many upsets yesterday is why the NFL is king. One of the people I was talking to yesterday told me they're in a, what do you call it? Last fan standing thing. Used to be called a suicide pool. It's no longer that. And they said that they've been doing it for 15 years. And week 2 featured the most knockouts in the 15 years they've had this last fan standing poll or league, whatever. Sean Gillespie, hello. Go Birds, can't dismiss any team no matter our weapons or lack of one with AJ injured. I agree. Especially if turnovers are still a thing. Especially if the other team can control the game by running the ball. I mean, I think the Eagles can do it too. But in the event that they don't have a good game, that's a little bit of a problem if Bijan Robinson takes over. Don't get me wrong. I take Saquon Barkley in that battle every single day. But there's a reason to play the game, as they say. I'm sorry, James Alexander, good morning. Farzy, JT was clutch yesterday. We're going for 100 wins. What do they have? 6, 10, 3. Okay, so what, 10-3? They got the 4-game series. 4, 16. Yeah, no, 16. So 4 games. Then 2 through, so it's 10. Yeah, 13 games. Yeah, 13 games. Can they go 10-3? Put it this way. I don't want them to go 10-3. I want the last 3 games of the season for the Phillies, James, to not matter. And let's not forget, the Phillies went for the record. I feel like I've been talking about this history lesson too often. The Phillies in 2011, they set the record, 102 wins for the season. They went for it. And in doing so, they bounced out the Braves and welcomed in the St. Louis Cardinals, who then pushed them out of the playoffs. So I don't want 100 wins. If you can win this, be the best team in baseball with, or at least the National League with 98 wins, then I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Quite frankly, I prefer it. Sean Kilrain. What's up, Sean Kilrain? James Alexander, should Dotson be our number 2 receiver tonight? He will be your number 2 receiver tonight. You know, this is also a great opportunity for Johnny Wilson. Johnny, look, maybe the only time I don't mind a coach coordinator talking about a wide receiver's blocking ability. Like, you remember, I know the guy's name is Mud, but I'm going to talk about him as a receiver and blocker. Riley Cooper. When Riley Cooper, he had one really good year with Chip Kelly, and then, or year with Chip Kelly, I should say. And then after that, signed the extension. And then he got talked about as a good blocker. He got talked about as a good blocker. Anytime a wide receiver that's now actually making some money gets talked about as a good blocker, I go, he's done. Johnny Wilson got talked about as a good blocker. Probably the only time I'll be welcoming to the idea is if he's a 6th-round rookie. Yeah, okay. Whatever you got to do to be on the field, man. Now maybe we'll see something from Johnny Wilson tonight. We'll see. Sean Kilmer, next man up mentality. Let's go, Dotson. Rent is due, everyone. Oh, man, rent is due. I forgot about that one. I'm still in the mode of we didn't play up to our standard. Rent is due. IBH, hello. Nice to see how open and relaxed Hurts was being interviewed by Kelsey with no worries about being baited. Very true. Very true. Dotson, what's going on? Oh, yes, Dotson has to step up. Yes, he does. Mike Fuji, will Paris Campbell be activated tonight? Huh. Maybe. Sean Kilrain, got to let Saquon run like a wild dog tonight, whether he's catching the football out of the backfield or running it. Mark, 1982, as far as he high again. What do you mean again? Hello. Sean Kilrain, BDN is going to get the link rocking tonight in his honor. Let's go, Farzy. I hope so. That is a lot of fun. I mean, how awesome would it be? I don't think Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni would do it if they were up, I don't know, 4 scores in the fourth quarter. I think it would have to be in a situation that mattered. But if they did run Philly tonight, or even Philly special tonight, if there was a roof on the link, they'd blow it off. It would be awesome. When I see Jalen Carter as a guy on defense, the Slim Reaper is my guy on offense to play big, pay big dividends. All right, I like it. 100% the link will be rocking tonight. Should get the boys fired up early. Sean Kilrain, 34-21. I like it. I like your score better than my score. IBH, Eagles and Phillies both at the top of their leagues. Shades of 1980. Farzy Morning. Hey, what's up, High Domination? Another star. I just tuned in. Farzy, did you see the Kelsey and Jalen interview? And let's get the W. Yeah, I opened the show. Afrado. I opened the show with talking about it. Then prepare for the Saints. Don't want to end up like the Cowboys. Hells yeah. For those just joining the show, the Kelsey and Hurts interview was fantastic. It really was. The only thing that I really took out of it as, I don't know, two things. Okay, I'm sorry. I made the same mistake I did when I opened the show. 2 things I took away with it. Took away from it. One, that it happened. Now, why is that? What do you mean? Of course it happened. Okay. Remember, 2 weeks ago when people were like throwing the hot takes about, Jalen Hurts threw Jason Kelsey out of the bus because he said Jason Kelsey handled the protections. He threw him under the bus. And I was like, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, what? No, he didn't. He threw the coaching staff under the bus, which is why you have a whole new coaching staff, with the exception of the head coach still being here somehow. But anyway, he's here. They sat down. That's not happening if they're butt hurt over words being said that were never intended to come off the way some people inaccurately interpreted them. So one, that it happened. 2, the thing that actually came out of the actual interview of them talking was Jalen Hurts handling, quote, pretty much all of the protections. Pretty much fully handling the protections. That was a little surprising. I knew he was handling more than he did before. I didn't know pretty much all of them. Interesting. April, oh my God, so sweet. That's your kitty now. Laugh out loud. No, that is my cat roommate. I do not have cats. My wife has 2 cats. Soon to be officially 2 cats. Oh God, I almost said it. She still has Marshall. Matt, more cats, please. Ever since I showed Rory, or Roars, as I call her. Oh, no, there she is. Hi, Roars. She's eating old notes that I just throw on the floor. Don't eat that. All right, whatever. Someone said, have you seen the ESPN? Yes, it was great. Ooh, Cubby going to be special tonight. Fredo, yeah, I remember. Oh, okay, cool. There you go. Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Philadelphia Eagles, Atlanta Falcons tonight, Monday Night Football. Dun, 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 dun. 8:15 start time. No, Jason Kelsey will not be suiting up and playing for the Eagles. Though in the interview with Jalen Hurts, Jason Kelsey was wearing a football jersey. It looked like it was sponsored by Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, which is very nice. Eagles are going into tonight's game as 4-point favorites. Or 5.5-point favorites. Let's make that happen. I got the Eagles covering that. 8:15 start time. Now, earlier in the evening, the Philadelphia Phillies will be starting at, is it got a 7:40 start time tonight in Milwaukee? I believe it's a 7:40 start time tonight. 7:40 start time tonight. Ranger Suarez gets the start for the Phils. He'll go against Aaron Savale there of the Brewers. He's 29 years old, right-handed pitcher, 6-8 on the season with a 4.57 ERA. That's what it comes down to. He is coming off a 5 1/3 inning performance against the San Francisco Giants. He allowed 2 runs, all earned on 3 hits, including a home run. Yeah, he's been a very hot and cold pitcher over his last 5 games. So, yeah, we'll see how he does tonight against the Phillies. I hate when I don't take out the final comment. There we go. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, don't forget, there'll be no Phillies postcast tonight because of the Eagles' responsibilities. I'll be on with Seth Joyner on the Seth Joyner YouTube show channel for pre- and post-game show, as well as 6abc.com. Coming up a little bit later today, set 9 o'clock, I will be on Fox 29 talking about your Eagles. Look forward to doing that. And I'll be with you guys tomorrow morning for the Farzy Show to recap it all. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are great as per usual. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Farzy Show YouTube channel. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports. That's Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. And make sure you hit subscribe on the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel as well. See you guys tonight. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Go Birds. See you then.